quite a popular point of discussion in the Jurassic World Evolution 2 community at the moment is attractions. And of course, with me being a content creator, I do want to sort of share my opinions on some attractions I think should be in Jurassic World Evolution 2. So if you haven't quite got the gist yet, today we will be looking at 5 attractions I think we should see in Jurassic World Evolution 2. And as always, your support on my videos is greatly appreciated, so if you could like, and maybe even subscribe, it would mean the world to me. With that being said, I do hope you enjoy the video. So to kick things off, I'm going to go with an attraction that most YouTubers that have sort of done an attractions video have mentioned, and that is of course the Cretaceous Cruise. It goes without saying that you can't really make that exotic enclosure, if you will, without having, you know, your Jurassic tour, your gyrosphere, things like that. It's a struggle for me personally to make a nice enclosure without them, so I don't really understand why Frontier have, you know, just sort of cut them out. It is something that is canon and it just makes sense to have in the game. It could also implement, you know, that water element that I'm always referring to in my videos, which, you know, could potentially mean in the future we can get dinosaurs that can also swim. Cough cough Spinosaurus, Baryonyx, Suchomimus, etc. Basically any piscivorous dinosaur. Not much to be said for the Cretaceous Cruise. I reckon that as a community, if we can keep pushing for it, then I don't see it being too unrealistic if we, you know, do end up seeing it in the coming months, as we do of course have at least multiple DLCs expected to come to Jurassic World Evolution 2 this year. Now moving on, I want to talk about something that I personally really think should be implemented into Jurassic World Evolution 2, and that is submarines. In regards to lagoons, it seems like there's this ongoing theme in the community where people are complaining that from the viewing galleries at the very least, it's incredibly hard to see marine reptiles. And a way that I think could counter that perfectly is the introduction of submarines. These submarine tours could also maybe have, like, I don't know, lights on the side per se to, you know, light up your lagoons so it's easier to see from the viewing galleries as well as these submarines. And not only that, but for me at least, it seems like it would be such a cool experience, especially at night, to, you know, just have these extremely dim lights in like an Elasmosaurus lagoon per se, you know. They're nightmarish creatures that you'd expect to see at the depths of the ocean, and, you know, it'd just be such a cool experience, very immersive as well. And third in the list, I do have the Veloster Coaster. If you didn't know, the Veloster Coaster is now technically considered canon in the Jurassic World franchise, so similar to the Cretaceous Cruise, it would just make sense to have in the game. And it's not like Frontier are ill-experienced with roller coasters either. They quite literally have a game called Planet Coaster. A fair argument would be, well, this is a dinosaur game, why would you have a roller coaster? But to me at least, I really struggle with making, you know, diverse parks that, you know, aren't exact replicas of each other, even with all the new maps. I think there needs to be an attractions section where we can just, you know, spice up our parks a little bit with things that aren't just dinosaurs. So yeah, once again, something I can't really see happening, but for me it would be extremely cool to have the Veloster Coaster in the game, considering it is canon. Now for my last 2 attractions, they're fairly similar in, you know, what they really do, but I think that it would just make sense to have in the game. So for my 4th pick, I've quite simply gone for an observation tower. Whenever I build my parks, I find it just, you know, in my nature to have a sort of centerpiece to my park, something that tops it off and, you know, is the main attraction, if you will. And I think having like an observation tower dead in the center of your park would really be what would be really useful for me at least, because, you know, for me, usually I just use a lagoon, you know, it's cool, it's a lagoon, there's not much more to it. Whereas with an observation tower, this is something that stands tall, it's visible from any point in your park. And it's just unique, it's a feature that we could use to see dinosaurs from long distances, you could see your park from it, and it would just be fun to ride. This is another thing that is in Planet Coaster, so Frontier could quite literally port it over from Planet Coaster, and I wouldn't really be too disappointed. It's something I want to see for my parks, and I don't think it's too, you know, unrealistic. And for my last attraction, as I've just mentioned, quite similar to the observation tower, I've gone for the Ferris wheel. Now, call me boring, but I think that Ferris wheels are extremely not cool, unique for what they are. And to have this in a Jurassic Park, also, you know, working as that centerpiece, the part that makes your park stand out, would just be quite frankly awesome. You know, it's not too unrealistic either. It's something they could also just port over from Rock Planet Coaster. And yeah, the point I'm trying to get at with the observation tower and Ferris wheel is I struggle to make my parks have that centerpiece that I keep coming back to, and there just needs to be something other than a lagoon or aviary that can be your park's selling point. Why do people want to come to your park? And I know that's something that I don't really need to be concerned about, considering this is a simulation game. People are going to come to my park, so be a lagoon or not. But I just like that idea of realism. I need something to make my parks beautiful and unique, and currently I don't have that. So Frontier, if any of you are watching this video, please do work some Frontier magic. We all know that this game has all the potential in the world, but just needs the right minds behind it, and I do wholeheartedly believe that Frontier can pull it off if they just keep the game heading in the right direction. But that is all for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I do hope to see you in the next one.